coaching change, believe me.
Well, obviously, Norv's excited about being here. Has got a chance to build this team, put it in order like we talked about in the open. Dennis went out and got some guys through the draft, brought some other guys in, some pretty good guys throughout their career as free agents, and this is where it all starts.
And Chris Cole and Doug Gabriel back deep to receive the kick from Todd Peterson, kicking from his own 30-yard line. And it'll be Gabriel at his own 14-yard line. Takes the ball across the 25 to the 26-yard line. Arnez Battle makes the tackle for the 49ers. And here comes Rich Gannon, his 17th year out of Delaware. And I don't think many people, Keena, expected Rich Gannon to be back on the field. He certainly did, but he had the season-ending injury last year. They, of course, signed Kerry Collins this season. And most thought that Collins would be the Raiders starting quarterback come opening day. There are still 4 games to determine that, but nonetheless, Gannon is the starter tonight. Tyrone Wheatley, big handoff to him. Gannon back to pass and unloads it. Tackled immediately out of the backfield. Zach Crockett with the catch. Jamie Winborn makes the tackle. Let's take a look at the backs for the Raiders. Wheatley, Crockett, Jolly needs to rebound from last year. Jerry Rice, of course. Healthy Jerry Porter will be the key for that offense. Sims, Middleton, True, Badger, Walker. That's how it's listed right now. But as Keena mentioned in the pregame show, that could change. And it could change quickly with the second pick in the overall draft in Robert Gallery. That's Roland Williams who goes in motion. Gannon rolling out. Engelberger puts pressure on, and it's caught on the sideline with the 42. Jerry Porter with his incomplete. Now it's called incomplete. Jerry Porter, the intended receiver. And it'll bring up 3rd down and 8. Let's take a look at the defensive line. John Engelberger, Michael Landry, an interesting story. Bryant Young and Andre Carter looking to rebound from, I think, an offseason last year for him. Derek Smith, Jeff Olberg, Jamie Winborn. You saw 3. They'll play a lot of 4 linebacker sets. Williams, Parrish, Hurd, and Mike Rump, who really had a solid season last year, rebounding after that rookie campaign.
Came back in and caught the ball. Therefore, it's an incomplete pass.
So it'll be 3rd down and 8 yards to go for the Raiders. We are just underway here at Candlestick Park in San Francisco. Glad you could join us. Dennis O'Donnell with Keena Turner. Mindy Bach is on the field. And game 1 of the brand new season for both football teams.
And Dennis for the 49ers on defense. Looking at that 3-4 defense, wanting to take advantage of the solid linebacking core, and they're in it on defense to start the game.
There we go. The Raiders line up 3 receivers. Porter goes in motion. Gannon's under pressure on the blitz from Mike Rump, but he unloads it, and it's complete across the 40 to the 43-yard line. Amos Zeraway, one of the offseason acquisitions, gets the 1st down, and he's tackled by Tony Parrott.
Well, Gannon does a nice job of feeling the pressure coming off his left side. You'll see Mike Rump coming off the corner. Gannon fading off to his right to throw to Zeraway out in the flat there to pick up the 1st down.
Rich Gannon was about this particular game. He goes, yeah, it's an exhibition game, and a lot of people downplay it. I certainly don't downplay it because I think he felt he has something to prove today, Keena. This is Wheatley goes straight up the middle across the 45 to the 47-yard line. Jamie Winborn makes the stop. Jamie Winborn, another guy, you talk about guys who didn't think they would be back. Jamie Winborn is one of them because Winborn suffered a serious neck injury last year that required surgery to fuse 2. And this guy, Keena, might be the key. When you're talking about playing 4 linebacker set, he's got so much speed. Obviously, Peterson needs to get back, but that guy is a big impact player. Raiders have a 2nd down. And it throws out there, and it's complete. Jerry Rice makes the catch for the Raiders. His 1st reception pushed out of bounds by Jimmy Williams, who was pretty soft coverage there. A little bit of respect to the Pro Bowl veteran.
Rice can still play. Jimmy Williams, who made a great recovery from his leg injury a year ago, working outside on the biggest veteran on the field, Jerry Rice, and Jimmy just wanted to get him out of bounds there. Jimmy Williams starting this game for Ahmed Plummer. Jerry, man, the stats just go on and on.
The biggest stat, the most amazing one, 20th year in the NFL for Jerry Rice. Getting plenty of time, and he throws. Roland Williams, 41-yard line of the 49ers. Salim Rashid makes the tackle. Gannon is now 4 of 5, so a nice opening possession for 31 yards. And Oakland moving the ball effectively against the young 49er defense.
And, you know, for Gannon, you talked about it, whether or not he was going to come back this season. I mean, he did not want to end his career, obviously, with the injury. And, again, you know, he's said it many times publicly, how do you go from, you know, the penthouse to the outhouse so quickly? And he has something to prove.
Wheatley is a lone setback. And again, pump fakes plenty of time, and he dumps it off in the middle. Hit hard by Jamie Winborn. It was intended for Wheatley, but Winborn gave him a little preseason hello.
Yeah, Jamie Winborn, you talked about him with the injury, the neck injury last season, Dennis, but one of the most athletic players on the field, working out of the inside linebacking spot there, just sitting in, waiting on the football to come, coming up, a nice little lick on Wheatley. And again, the athletic ability to move around, anticipation on the football, and being able to get from point A to point B, the strength of the undersized linebacker.
Second down at 10, 0 away in the backfield. They line up Jerry Porter to the left. They go over there, and it's Jerry Porter, and he's got the reception to the 34-yard line. Porter's on the right side, tackled by Jimmy Williams, but they're finding a little cushion on the 49ers cornerback, Jimmy Williams, and they're taking advantage of it. So the Raiders driving the ball. They did not get the first down. It'll bring up 3rd down and 2.
Yeah, with Jerry Porter, receiver for the Raiders, they're looking a lot from. Just a quick little out pattern there. Again, Jimmy Williams working back. Coverage pretty tight. That was a quick route outside. He's where he should be on that. You know, Jimmy Williams, big punt returner for the 49ers before the leg injury. As we look at Porter's numbers for last season, they expect big things from Porter this year. He's a big receiver, 220 pounds. So he can go just about anywhere on the field with that ability.
Well, the thing is, Porter misses half the games last year with a hernia, so he's helping coming back. No score at Candlestick Park. Longer with the shoulder surgery than before he had that operation. So far, so good. Gannon on 3rd and 2, and he's got the first down. It's the tight end Jolly at the 28-yard line. So another clutch completion. Jimmy Williams on the coverage for San Francisco, but so far Gannon is answering any question marks that might be out there.
Yeah, Norv Turner showing what this offense is going to look like this year for the Raiders as he spreads that tight end outside, gets those wide receivers outside, opening up the defense, having them have to protect and cover more area. And Gannon, the experienced guy, looking for the right man, getting the first down.
6 of 8, 45 yards, 1st and 10, ball at the 28-yard line. They line up 2 receivers to the right. Now Porter comes over to the left. Gannon in trouble now. Brian Young had him. He got eluded him and threw it behind the intended receiver, Doug Jolly, inside the 15-yard line. Gannon does a nice job here of avoiding the rush from Bryant Young, but unable to complete the pass, and it'll bring up 2nd down.
Well, and this is something we're going to see a little bit of this year. Is Bryant Young working from an end spot outside, now having to hold leverage on the quarterback, coming back to him. Knew the play was coming, saw it, but Gannon still got a few moves in him, gets back inside.
11th play of the drive for the Raiders, 2nd down and 10. And it's Wheatley. This is the kind of power game that they were hoping to see, and Wheatley drags him all the way down to the 10-yard line. Tony Parrish finally made the tackle, but a pickup of 18 yards for Tyrone Wheatley.
Well, just nice blocking here at the point of attack. Wheatley going to come off tackle here. You see the guards pull around. You see that old hole open up inside. Mike Rumph having to fall back in, but Wheatley, nice and tough runner inside. I watched the block here on that hole there for Wheatley. And Wheatley's obviously excited about Norv Turner's offense. Norv likes to run his single back inside off tackle.
Yeah, what a block by Frank Middleton. The fake to Wheatley. Gannon all the time in the world, and he's got Crockett out of the backfield. Nice open field tackle by Mike Rumph at the 9-yard line.
You know, Dennis, you talked about Mike Rump having a solid season last year, and he did. And this one thing this young man always did in the league, come up and hit people. Had some trouble maybe learning the offense quickly, but he always would make contact, be aggressive here, coming up outside on Crockett, holding leverage, hitting through the target and holding on.
Yeah, set career highs in tackles with 64, passes defense with 8 and 3 interceptions. Amos Zeraway now in the backfield for the Raiders. Second down, line up Jerry Rice to the far right, Porter to the left. 49ers come on the blitz, they throw it in the end zone, intended for Jerry Rice, incomplete. There by Sean K. Spencer of the 49ers, a rookie who's having a big camp. How'd you like to be the rookie covering Jerry Rice, huh?
Well, you know what I like about what Spencer did is he took away the – look how he sat inside. He know he's got to protect inside, and look how he closed to Jerry's body to take away any separation. That ball had to be perfect. Very nice coverage by the rookie.
He set a school record at Pitt with 53 deflected passes. I don't care how many passes you deflect in college when you cover one-on-one. Whole different situation. So far, Rich Gannon has been perfect at third down. Again, nice time, and it's incomplete. He overthrew the ball, intended for Amos Zeraway. Jimmy Williams on the coverage, but just overthrew it. Gannon makes his first real mistake, and they'll bring on the Raiders field goal unit. Yeah,
the Raiders, again, spreading out the defense. One tight end, 3 wide receivers. The one back Zeraway in the backfield. He faked inside, came out, but the defense in zone looking for it.
Sebastian Janikowski in his 5th year. Shane Leckler will hold for Janikowski. 26 yards out. It's up and it is good. So the Raiders strike first here at Candlestick Park on a 26-yard field goal off the leg of Sebastian Janikowski. And with 8:19 left to go in the first quarter, the Raiders have taken a 3-0 lead.
But for BY, he had been, and I think it means, tenfold when you hear it from the pew.
Arnaz battle, it's all the way down to the 46-yard line, but hold everything. There's a flag on the field, and that one might come back, and it will come back. So that Rattay went down with a groin injury, and now still. Kevin Barlow will get most of the work, tackled by Danny Clark. Kevin Barlow now owns the backfield along with Fred Beasley with the departure of Garrison Hurst. Eric Johnson is healthy at tight end. Cedric Wilson and Brandon Lloyd. A lot will be on those guys today. Quayem Harris, Eric Heitman, and Kozar is going to be in a battle there, I think, with Justin Smiley. As a matter of fact, that's kind of an open battle, so you're going to see a lot of the 49ers offensive line in the draft today. Complete to Eric Johnson, and he gets across the 35, breaks the tackle, gets first down yardage to the 40-yard line. Take a look at the Raiders' defensive line. They're going to go with the 3-4. Tyler Brayton, Ted Washington, and Warren Sapp. Your linebackers, Grant, Clark, Rudd, and Travian Smith. Now Napoleon Harris is hurt. Philip Buchanan, Derek Gibson, Ray Buchanan, Denard Walker fill out the Raider defensive unit. But the Harris, and he could be back by opening day for the Raiders. First down, ball at the 40-yard line. Handoff up the middle to Kevin Barlow, and he gets about the 46-yard line. Derek Gibson makes the stop. And this is Barlow's ball club now, at least in the offensive backfield for the 49ers, Keenan.
Yeah, and this is really a test for the offensive line of the 49ers. You see Barlow's numbers from last season. They're running at 3-4. Ted Washington, Big Ted on the nose, and obviously Warren Sapp working out at the defensive end as we look at an injured Niner down on the field.
A team that is already banged up. Dorsey to pass on second down, and he went downfield. They're going to be called against the Raiders. Danny Clark was on the cover.
Defensive pass interference, number 55. Spot foul, first down.
And you see the Pro Bowl guys for the 49ers last season. Fred, as you mentioned, Dennis, his first one last year, and for the last number of years, he's been considered the best fullback in the league, a punishing lead blocker. Obviously, Kevin Barlow very concerned about the injury to Fred Beasley.
So the 49ers have a first down on the penalty by Clark. Ball marked at the 38-yard line. Dorsey hands it off, and it's Barlow. Got a nice room, got a block from Harris, which sprung him loose. Then he does the rest on his own, down about the 17-yard line of the Raiders. Danny Clark and Tyler Brayton combined to stop, but it's Harris who makes a beautiful block for the Raiders to pick up of 18 yards.
Yeah, Quayne Harris, Eric Heitman working over here on that left side of the offensive line, getting the Raiders down on the ground. You see Quayne Harris pushing outside, and then the ability, while everybody in the 49ers organization is excited about Kevin Barlow, the very, very quick feet, Dennis, for a very big man running with the football.
Lloyd out to the left, Wilson out to the right. First down for the 49ers. And it's over the middle, Barlow out of the backfield. Another nice move to the 6-yard line of the Raiders, where he's tackled by DeLawrence Grant. He's close to a first down. Dorsey apparently looked like he was looking for Lloyd in the end zone, and then he dumped it off to Barlow, who just came out, and we get a penalty.
Well, Dorsey looking around and sees Kevin Barlow sneak outside, and Barlow at 238 pounds. Again, Dennis, you can't talk about it too much. The feet and the ability to get those shoulders up the field parallel and pick up positive yards.
That looked like a late flag.
Unsportsmanlike conduct after the play was over on number 32. That's a 15-yard penalty from the dead ball spot. It'll still be a first down.
Good thing this is a preseason game, huh, Keena?
Well, you know, did he slam the football down?
And he's got the football, and Heitman was trying to get the block, and he didn't quite get it. So he gets inside the 20 to about the 19-yard line. Dwayne Rudd made the tackle. Dwayne Rudd, of course, one of the offseason acquisitions for the Raiders, and turned out to be Keena because Napoleon Harris went down with an injury. So Rudd is going to have to come up big when the Raiders play that 4-linebacker set. Second down, the Raiders trying to hold San Francisco. The 49ers bring up Curtis Conway into the game on the right side, and that is where they were looking. And he throws it, and it's complete down to the 6-yard line to the Niners' new free agent acquisition receiver, but we got a penalty.
For roughing the passer, number 57 with a blow to the face. Half the distance to the goal, first down.
I was just talking about Dwayne Rudd coming into the Raider lineup. He knocks Dorsey down. That gives the 49ers, a first and goal.
Yeah. Okay, you'll see it here at the end of the play. Dorsey again looking around, staying with Curtis Conway all the way, and you see, oh wow, that wasn't. Okay, Curtis Conway inside, then back out. He's been the surprise of camp in that wide receiver core. Been really impressed with his work ethic, where he's coming in.
Beasley has a sprained ankle. He's going in for x-rays. Here's the 49ers on first and goal. Barlow breaks one tackle and gets down to the 3-yard line. Nice job. Hit initially by Danny Clark, but a good job just to get anything out of that one. Travian Smith finally makes the tackle for the Raiders. It'll bring up second down and goal. San Francisco down 3-0, and there is Beasley. Again, a sprained ankle is the word we get right now. He's a critical element to the 49er backfield, arguably one of the best fullbacks in the NFL, and would be sorely missed. Barlow, the lone setback. They line up Lloyd and Wilson to the right. And he throws it up. He's looking for Lloyd. That leaping ability is what they're going for there, but Dorsey threw it out of bounds. Nice coverage. Derek Gibson was all over him. We saw last year Brandon Lloyd make the impact. 4 receivers now. Dorsey rolls and throws incomplete, intended for Eric Johnson. And that'll bring up fourth down. Dorsey purposely threw it into the ground. He was well covered. Bobby Hamilton. Todd Peterson will come in to kick for the 49ers.
Well, the 49ers go with an empty look, which is no one in that backfield. Had 5 receivers up on the line of scrimmage. Slight roll to the right side for Dorsey, but the coverage by the Raiders, and good choice by Dorsey to throw that one away and set up for the 3.
Todd Peterson was signed last October and was a welcome addition to a very inconsistent 49er kicking game. He'll attempt one from 21 yards out. Andy Lee is holding for the 49ers as they try and tie it up. And he hits from 21, but immediately the flags come out.
It looks like the Raiders were offsides.
False start on the center. 5-yard penalty. Still 4th down.
This is one of the aspects of the game, Keener, that he was so pleased with, that Peterson had season consistency in the lineup, and he hits the field goal. He'll take it, right? 26, they get it preseason. The 49ers has tied it up with 3:37 left to go in the first quarter. What put the
Guys, it's a pleasure to be back. But, you know, guys, one thing that will be very noticeable this year is the absence of number 81 touchdown, Timmy Brown. Timmy Brown had a conference before the Raiders, and this is what he had to say.
I'm going to be involved with this organization in the future in some way. And no matter what happens, I think Mr. D and I have agreed that I will retire as a Raider.
Okay. And as you just heard, Timmy Brown said that he will retire a Raider. He will at heart always be a Raider because that's where he started, drafted number 1 back in 1988. Played 16 seasons here, guys. He's in Tampa, but at heart, he's a Raider. Back to you guys.
As Cole was hit hard at the 20, and a big pileup. At a bottom of the pile, looks like the Raiders have the football.
You know, some of the hardest hits in football come on kickoff returns. And Cole finds out what it is to return a kick in the National Football League. Now, you talk about the importance of preseason and players going full speed play by the 49er kickoff coverage unit. The Raiders are fortunate they come up with the football.
All right, Rice is in there with Jerry Porter. Wheatley behind Roland Williams, the quarterback. Rich Gannon, we're tied at 3. Final moments, first quarter. And it's Porter in motion. Gannon followed the exchange. And Wheatley, and he's across the 25 to the 26-yard line.
One of the things the viewers in today's game right now is that the first unit's going a lot longer than they have done in the past. And, you know, which is a little unusual. Usually they go 1 or 2 series, and, you know, that exchange between the center and Rich Gannon doesn't happen very often, but it still is preseason.
Well, and again, we're talking about a guy in his first year, Jake Grove, who the Raiders have high hopes for. And he figures to be a dandy along, obviously, with Robert Gallery. So give a yard on the play, maybe 2. And the Raiders go play action. And it's Wheatley in front of him. Wheatley, first down and more. And what a block by Brad Badger to spring Tyrone Wheatley for the big first down.
And this offensive line is learning how to screen block. That time it was a play-action screen to Wheatley. We saw it before to Amos Zaraway. Norv Turner is going to run the screen. Again, it's a fake up inside. You see number 47 sneak out. But watch this guy right there. Bang! What a great block by the big guy, number 70, Brad Badger from Stanford University.
And not only is Jake Grove in at center, but the #1 draft pick also, Grove being number 2, but Robert Gallery at left tackle right now.
So a first down, and Wheatley. And Wheatley always moving those legs, and he goes forward to the 45-yard line. Broke a tackle at the point of attack and got 3 or 4 more yards.
You know, Wheatley's another example of Al Davis and the Raider personnel department bringing in a free agent who might have, quote, been disbanded from another team and doing a great job for the Oakland Raiders. Rich Gannon is an example of that. Jerry Rice is an example of that. Warren Sapp, Ted Washington this year. This organization does as good a job as anybody of adding free agents to the roster to continue the legacy of the Raiders.
Gannon 8 of 13 here in the first quarter for 59 yards. And it's Wheatley, and Wheatley has the first down near midfield. Wheatley with a half first quarter. They'll move the chains with the game tied at 3.
You know, I think one of the things, you know, people are saying that maybe Tyrone Wheatley's getting a little tired legs, but he's shown here a lot tonight. He's running very hard, breaking tackles, getting outside. Very impressive by Tyrone Wheatley.
You know what, Jimmy came in great shape. Like everybody on this football team this year, they've done a great job with a new conditioning coach. They've done a great job with a new philosophy of conditioning, and Wheatley's one of the guys that's benefiting from it. Talk
about Wheatley with 46 total offense. offense here in the first quarter. Gannon, flag down, and it may be a hold. They got him back down at the 44-yard line. And Gannon unhappy about something.
Well, I think Gannon felt it was pass interference down the field, but it looks like Langston Walker, the right offensive tackle, might get flagged for holding on that. Going to be a great player for the Oakland Raiders.
You know, and this is another challenge for the Raiders. See what they can do. And, you know, well, right now it's going to be 1st and 25, but these are situations that need to be put in that they can get ready when they start the regular season.
All right, now Gannon slowly up to the line of scrimmage. We'll survey the defense. Final minute here of the opening quarter with the game tied at 3. And incomplete. Bobbling the ball was the tight end Roland Williams. And that allowed the defense to come up and make the pop.
Incomplete. It hit the ground.
Now the main thing is Roland Williams is healthy after an assortment of injuries the last 2 years. Gannon on a second. And a little delay. Amos Zaraway, nice job to sidestep the tackle, and he's across the 45 to the 46-yard line. And it will be 3rd and long.
Now that run reminds you a little bit of Charlie Garner, what Charlie Garner's done the past 3 or 4 years for the Raiders. The way he cut back, made him miss a tackle. He comes up limping a little bit, though.
Now Zaraway is going to be, if he ends up being the backup, watch him here take a little stutter step to the right, comes back on the draw to the left, and just gets pulled down here at the end. He is built close to the ground. He's an excellent runner. He'll be a very good 1-2 punch with Tyrone Wheatley.
Well, I don't think they're going to get the playoff, and that should do it for the first quarter. So we have played 15 minutes here in San Francisco, and both teams with long drives but not able to punch it in. And with 15 minutes in the books,
end of the first quarter.
Oakland 3, San Francisco 3 here on the Oakland Raiders Television Network. 3rd down and long. Make it 3rd and 14. Split backs for Gannon. Penalty marker down, and I believe Jerry Porter was the stride off the ball, and this will probably back Oakland up 5 more yards.
And that's another thing you work on. You know, no mistakes, no mental mistakes. You got to cut them down early.
Prior to the ball being snapped, we had a false start on number 89. 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
Ronald Curry in the slot there, a little bit anxious, but this guy
remains under center in this drive. Good protection, and underneath it goes to J.R. Redmond. And Redmond is across the 50, and he gets into San Francisco territory. 5th-year player out of Arizona. Well short of the 1st down, and we'll get our first look at Shane Leckler, the Raiders punter. Jimmy Williams back deep as you look at Leckler. And a fair catch called, and San Francisco, when we come back, will have the football right there. Second quarter action here from San Francisco, and we are tied at 3.
I'm Norv Turner, and you're watching NFL Network.
When you talk about the Raiders, you talk about Al Davis building a total commitment to excellence. It's marked a 3-time world champion. Raiders rise to the top of professional sports, from Kenny Stabler to Rich Gannon. His aggressive approach to nabbing big-name free agents, his uncanny ability to drop and develop young talent. Boy, it's the Hall of Fame owner. He's got a passion for the game, which will never be duplicated. We talk about the draft choices, and guys, we've been talking a lot about this year with Robert Gallery and Jake Grove, and you look at last year with how good Asamoah and Tyler Brayton have done. As you look at Cedric Wilson on a 1st down play, and that's across the 23. But boy, this year again just looks like outstanding pickups in the year 2004 already.
And you know, just look at these guys. And you look at Ted Washington, been around 14 years. Ron Stone, 12 years. Bobby Hamilton down here at the bottom, 10 years with the Patriots. This is a veteran group that's going to come in and help this Oakland Raider football team. This is something this franchise has always been exceptional at. And I'm sitting next to a guy who signed as a free agent here and led the team to 2 Super Bowls.
Offense. 44. 5-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
And we look at another guy right there, Rich Gannon. The Raiders have done a brilliant job through the course of their history of bringing in quality free agents.
That penalty against San Francisco. Outstanding outstanding defensive tackle, 7 consecutive Pro Bowls, 99 Defensive Player of the Year. And here's the delay. And a gain across the 21 to the 22-yard. And on the tackle was the big John Perella out of Nebraska. Perella, good to see him back and healthy after last year when he had that groin problem.
Yeah, they're making a few changes on defense. Got Perella in. You got number 98. You know, Bobby Hamilton, as already alluded to earlier. So they're making some changes, letting a lot more players get in the ball game right now.
Great job by Perella that time, fighting off the blocker, coming across his face, and making the tackle.
Jamal Robertson, the running back behind Dorsey on a 3rd down and short. And Robertson eludes and gets some daylight to the 29. Jamal Robertson in his 3rd year out of Ohio Northern, and he has the San Francisco first down.
And for our young listeners and viewers out there, watch how number 91 plays the game. Tyler Brayton knows no other speed but 110%. This guy started every game last year for the Oakland Raiders as a rookie, and I'll tell you, you talk about a guy with great heart and full speed defense. Number 91, Tyler Brayton out of Colorado, is the perfect example of that.
So it's a first down for San Francisco. Dorsey with the play action and a poorly thrown football. That was a man that was wide open, and Eric Johnson.
Let me ask you guys something, Jim. Here's Eric Johnson. He's got this big old cast on his thumb. Why would you throw him the ball down the middle of the field like that? You're not going to catch that thing. He can't even hitchhike with that thing on.
2nd down and 10. And Dorsey over the middle, and he's not going anywhere. That's the way you play linebacker. That's Danny Clark, and we talk again about the free agents and the guys they pick up. Here's a guy that's had 27 starts in 61 games, and he started 8 games last year for Jacksonville.
And he's all over. It's man-to-man coverage, and he plays man-to-man like it should be. Tight coverage, makes a tackle right away, doesn't let him gain an ounce or an inch more than he should.
Right. This defense now is starting to gel a little bit here as the game goes on. Remember, in training camp, the defense does not tackle. It's Thug's tempo. It takes a while to get used to tackling tempo.
All right, 3rd down and 9. Here comes the pressure. Dorsey hit as he throws, and there is a flag down. Now, if that's roughing a passer, I got to question that unless it was to the head. DeLawrence Grant, who was being moved from the defensive line to the linebacker position, was there.
Defense, roughing the passer.
You know, it's so hard.
Number
when you're
59. That's a 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
You know, it's so hard when you're rushing the passer. They say, keep your hands up, get in his face. And all of a sudden, you know, you're called for roughing the passer, which I don't think it's true. You know, you got your hands up. You know, I certainly don't see it, but the referees are calling pretty tight tonight.
Grant comes from the top of your screen here. I think what they're calling is the blow to the head, even though we might not agree with it, but that's what the officials are saying. Now, DeLawrence Grant, as Grant just done a wonderful job so far with this defense, putting in a new system.
Boy, and what a pedigree he has. And flags down, and they've got Dorsey wrapped up. The pressure coming from DeLawrence Grant again.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, though. There's a penalty, and I think it's against the Raiders for being offside. But once again, you know, DeLawrence Grant was not
offside. Defense number 59. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Well, it was DeLawrence Grant offside. He was so mad about the penalty, he just got himself a little bit of a jump start. And Norv Turner's not happy about the penalties. But what Norv is going to be happy about is the aggression and the utilization of DeLawrence Grant to get to the passer. DeLawrence Grant, his college coach in college at Oregon State, Dennis Erickson.
Well, you see the Raiders with their 6th penalty, and it's going to be first down and 5 for Dorsey in San Francisco. 4 minutes into the 2nd quarter, and we are tied at 3. And awfully close to the first down goes Jamal Robertson.
Jimmy Ray and Rob Ryan and Joe Avezzano in the open. But there's some quality coaches to go along with those guys. Pat Jones, the outside coach, ex-head coach at Oklahoma State. This is a very good, competent, well-respected coaching staff put together by that man, Norv Turner.
Short of the first down, and out of the I formation, they get the first down with Robertson. And he pushes forward inside the 45-yard line to about the 44, and it'll be first and 10 for San Francisco.
And you go back to Jimmy Ray, he was Mike Porter.
Well-respected coach. He serves as Doors offensive coordinator.
Stanley, the fullback, Terry Jackson, the halfback. Play action, and they've got Dorsey wrapped up. That pressure coming right up the gut. Sands got him, and it's going to be a loss all the way back to the 49-yard line.
You know, and that's just bull rushing by Turdell Sands. Just bulled his way back to the quarterback. You know, in that situation, you would think that the quarterback would, you know, step around it because he's got places to step. But it was just a great job by Turdell Sands to put the pressure on the quarterback and make the sack.
Monk, if you're 6'7", 335, that's all you got to do. This guy at a UT Chattanooga in his second year. Very tough to block one-on-one, and he called it perfectly. It was a bull rush right over the top of Brock Gutierrez, the centers. We take a look at Sands having a cup of water on the sidelines.
Wilson, Lloyd, Conway, the receivers. Dorsey, and it is caught. Good coverage there by Asamoah. Curtis Conway in his 12th year with the reception for San Francisco.
You know, Nnamdi Asamoah, University of California graduate, second year with the Raiders. Shoulder problem last year, didn't play a whole lot, but certainly shows a lot of promise. He's getting to play tonight.
And the Raiders really want to get him on the field, whether it be at nickel, at safety, or at corner. Smart guy, big guy, fast guy, can be a productive player for the Raiders this year.
3rd down and 10. Dorsey. And Dorsey, boy, that is a terrible looking ball, and it's incomplete. That ball looked like it hit the ground. Are they going to call it a complete pass? Yes, they are. From here, it looked like the turf.
That's the old
Coming
duck.
back was Eric Johnson. Francisco trying to take the lead here halfway through the second quarter. Jackson. And he's going nowhere. Jackson over the left side. Philip Buchanan in there. DeLawrence Grant also in for the Raiders on the stop.
And I like the way Derek Gibson came up from the secondary across the line of scrimmage to help with that tackle.
And Philip Buchanan, number 31, doing a good job. You know, Buchanan's not very big, 5'10", 185. He throws his body into the ball. Good job by the third-year man out of the University of Miami.
All right, a second down. Wilson in motion. Underneath it goes, and hit immediately is Jamal Robertson. Short gain on the play, and we'll be looking at another 3rd and goal.
You know, a very
Wilson to the left on a 3rd and goal. Dorsey. And nothing doing. And there's the inexperienced shot there by Dorsey, but give the Raiders credit because you know what? Nobody was open in the end zone. That is great coverage by that Oakland secondary.
Yeah, and Bobby Hamilton, number 98, was in his face. He really had no choice but to throw it away, but you got to be a little bit more careful when you do throw it away. That could have been picked off.
You know, you look at a quarterback here, and here's Ken Dorsey, a smart guy. He looks to his left, he looks to his right. He can't find anybody. All you see is black shirts, and he throws the ball away. Great camera work by our crew through the eyes of the quarterback looking at the secondary.
Todd Peterson will try to put go on top again from 26 yards out. And it is good. 6 minutes and 28 seconds left in the first half. San Francisco 6, Oakland 3 here on the Oakland Raiders television network. We'll have a great feature on Al Davis. Stick around for that. That's coming up at intermission. As you look at Albus Whitted and getting ready to kick it off, Todd Peterson.
Special teams are a huge part of the preseason. All the guys that are not sure if they're going to make the roster need to do well on special teams to ensure the fact that they might make the roster. Huge, huge deal. This guy right here, number 44, Chris Hetherington, is one of the better special teams players, or has been, in the NFL.
And Whitted settling down at the 1. Albus Whitted breaks the tackle. Flag down. Whitted. And he's out near midfield, but this one will be coming back in all likelihood.
You know, Nardi and I have talked about this in the past.
And there's Joe Avizano, to say the least, not happy with that infraction. Boy, he's the guy that's fired up at all times.
During the return, number 51. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Right in the middle of the screen, you saw the penalty.
Yeah, there was a couple of penalties actually on the Raiders that time about holding, but you know, that happens so often during preseason.
This is the Oakland Raiders television network. 103 of 120 games. And boy, I'll tell you, this guy has an arm, and what a 1-2 punch we've talked about during the telecast. Gannon and Kerry Collins got to be the best combination in the NFL.
Oh, I agree with you, Grant. And I think you'll probably see Kerry Collins throwing the ball a little bit more downfield than Rich Gannon did.
And he puts it right on the money on his first throw to Doug Gabriel, and it is an Oakland first down. Gabriel out of Central Florida last year played in 12 games, and Kerry Collins gets off to a good start.
You know, you take a look at Collins. His first pass is a good one. Looking outside to Gabriel, drill ball, perfectly thrown. Gabriel catches it, turns it up the field. Good job by the fifth rounder last year.
Well, you see Collins last year, those numbers are a little bit deceiving, and 3 and 4 rookies playing on the offensive line for much of the year. Collins was forced to throw off his back foot almost every play. As you see the handoff at a short gain, 2 or 3 yards. Got to remember that Kerry Collins is a guy that's guided 2 teams to 2 NFC Championship games. He was the MVP in the NFC Championship game. He's played in the Super Bowl plunk. This guy knows how to play the game.
Yeah, and you say a bad year last year. You have attempts completed 56.8% of them for over 3,000 yards, although he had a few more interceptions than TD. Still, as you mentioned, he's playing with some younger players on that offensive line a year ago.
Good news for Beasley. X-rays negative on the ankle for San Francisco. And a nice timing penalty, but incomplete again, intended for Alvis Whitted. Well, we talked a little bit about the 2004 draft class guys, and starts obviously with a can't miss Robert Gallery by all accounts.
And I think a can't miss guy right there at center in Jake Grove. But you know, you go down here, wait till Johnny Morant, the 5th round pick out of Syracuse, and Carlos Francis, the 4th round pick out of Texas Tech. 2 wide receivers get in the game. This is a talented class. And right now, you look at the Raiders' 80-man roster, 32 of them were taken in the draft as we take a look at Robert Gallery.
All right, Kerry Collins working out of the shotgun. Ronald Curry in as the extra wide receiver. Collins dropped it, picks it up, good composure, and he has it. Great job by Collins. He didn't get rattled there, and Alvis Whitted with the reception right at the 50-yard line.
And that's something you won't see probably in a less experienced quarterback who might panic and fall on the ball and not try to make a play out of it. He picked up the ball. He took his time, found the open receiver because he knew exactly where he was going to be, and hit him with a strike.
Jim, tell us, how hard is it to take a snap in the shotgun? Is it different than a punt? I mean, obviously it's closer, but why do quarterbacks drop it?
Well, because they're looking at the defense at the same time. Sometimes they take their eye off the ball, and consequently, you know, it hits their hands or hits their chest, and they're not ready to receive it.
Ball in San Francisco territory, and a quick pass and a nice move there by Doug Gabriel, and Gabriel races forward, and he has another Raider first down to the 35-yard line.
You know, it was a good read by Kerry Collins. They had a blitz on from the outside. He picked it up and just, threw it to Doug Gabriel at that time. And Doug Gabriel and Alvis Whitted are
very high on number 85.
Yeah, there he is, Doug Gabriel, second season out of Central Florida. They line up in the eye. Collins, and it is incomplete. Intended for Courtney Anderson.
Let me tell you how good Doug Gabriel was out of high school. He signed with the University of Miami, but then decided not to go, which is why he ended up at Central Florida. So
he's going to be special down inside the scoring zone, even though we're a little outside it right now. I think Alvis Whitted can help him to lead him to maybe 10 touchdowns down here.
There's Justin Fargas on the toss sweep, and he gets back to the line of scrimmage, and that's it. So it'll be 3rd down now and long for Oakland. And of course, when you talk about the Raider receiving corps, it obviously starts with Jerry Rice. But you know what, outside, everybody knows about Jerry Porter, but you look at the rest of those guys, and I'll tell you, there's a lot of speed, and we haven't seen Carlos Francis yet. He's also having a nice camp.
Yeah, gainer, believe me.
3rd and 10 for Collins and the Raiders. Collins looking to the end zone, and touchdown. Oh, what a pass that was to Doug Gabriel. Kerry Collins putting it right on the money, and the Raiders have gone on top 9-6.
A streak route up the sidelines, like you said, perfectly thrown. Gabriel catches the ball inside. Touchdown, Raiders.
You know, as I mentioned, you're going to see the ball thrown up the field a little bit more by Kerry Collins than you are with Rich Gannon. There's just a different philosophy in the two. Kerry's got a little bit stronger arm than Rich. But excellently executed, good throw, good catch, and that's the way you draw it up.
And you know what? It's against a 2-deep zone, which makes it even more difficult because the safety ought to get over there and break that up.
Janikowski, and it's 10-6 Oakland. 3 minutes, 10 seconds left. And Kerry Collins comes in, and he has to love playing with the silver and black. We'll be right back.
Raider young players doing a wonderful job. Take a look at Robert Gallery here and Jake Grove here doing an excellent job of pass protection. Look at Doug Gabriel up here running the streak down the sidelines, and as we talked about, the ball being perfectly thrown. Excellent job of protection, excellent job of throwing the ball and catching the ball. Wonderful execution in the pass offense by the Oakland. But guys, it starts up front with young people like Robert Gallery and Jake Grove.
And Sebastian Janikowski and Jamal Robertson at the 11. Robertson, that is across the 30, good return to the 31-yard line with just over 3 minutes left in the half. And Oakland on top 10-6.
Yeah, guys, I do have a special guest and an excited Jerry Porter starting this year, fifth-year player. Jerry, talk about this offense and will it open?
This offense, did you see my roommate? I had to cut out on you, man. I love to see my boys get off. This offense, I love this offense. Give me a chance to stretch out of the field and just makes us better route runners.
Now, you look at the number of receivers in camp. Your boy Gabriel just caught a pass. You seem like you're coaching a lot of these guys.
I mean, I've had 3 of the best coaches, or 4 of the best coaches a receiver can have. I mean, all I can do is just use what I've learned and pass it down to those guys.
All right, guys. Guys, back to you. Thank you, Jerry.
All right, thanks. And guys, Erickson has seen enough of Ken Dorsey, and he's going down the depth chart.
Brandon Doman is in the game, number 11 from BYU, a second-year guy. Hasn't played very much. He's a guy, though, that they would like to groom as the 3rd quarterback, especially when Tim Rattay returns.
Yeah, he was actually an original draft pick of the Niners back in 2002. Doman last year on the practice squad with Buffalo, released, and then the Redskins picked him up halfway through the campaign. Doman, and he just throws it away as the heat was coming up the middle, and of course the pressure provided by Bobby Hamilton. And now we're going to be looking at a 3rd down and 4 for San Francisco.
But if you go to camp, that's not necessarily true. He's done a wonderful job of rushing the passer.
And Doman, a timing pattern near side, incomplete. And excellent coverage provided by Asamoah on the near side. That pass intended for Derek Hamilton.
See, but that's one of the problems I think the 49ers have right now. They just don't have any veteran quarterbacks to help these young kids come along. And
boy, it's exciting in the open field. Hands on the football, and he lines back up at the 15. Line drive kick. And Buchanan takes it right at the 15. And he'll just run it out of bounds at the 20-yard line. There was nothing doing there. Well, we want to tell you that the shirts we are wearing for this telecast are from the Raider Image stores. And, of course, you can find these stores up and down.
It's all good stuff.
So the Raiders with a 10-6 lead. Collins, and on the ground. And it's Redmond. And a tough 2 yards right there. And that will get us to the 2-minute warning. So, first half action winding down. Oakland on top 10-6 on the Oakland Raiders television network. Collins. Collins with 3 receivers. J.R. Redmond, the lone back. And that play blown dead. A start will be a 5-yard penalty on Oakland.
Out of 13 completions, which means spreading the ball all over the field. That's just what North Turner wanted.
All right, Collins, great protection. And he throws short. And making a nice adjustment, Ronald Curry. And Curry comes forward to about the 28-yard line.
You know, Curry's going to be great. One of the most interesting guys on this team. Here's a guy that goes to the University of North Carolina, is a great quarterback and basketball player. USA Today's Player of the Year when he came out of high school. The Raiders were the only team to take a chance at drafting him, took him in the 7th round in 2002, and now the guy has a chance to be a major contributor. I tell you, it's a great, great story. And I'm happy for the kid because he's such a good athlete.
All right, a 3rd down and 2. The Raiders have 2 timeouts remaining. And underneath. And almost intercepted. That ball intended for Alvis. Good coverage there by Spencer for the San Francisco 49ers. Spencer came up in 5.5 yards. He's done a marvelous job in his 4th season. And a nice kick and backing all the way up to the 17-yard line. Williams. And good coverage by the Raiders special teams. Boy, you talk about the Raiders. Boy, the Hall of Famers. And look at that start, of course, with Jim Otto, and you work down at Blandon, Brown, and Upshaw, Politnikoff, Art Shell, Ted Hendricks, Al Davis, and there are a couple of omissions on there, and we're sitting next to one of them.
There's no question. I know, Jim, this always embarrasses you when we talk about it, but to me, there's absolutely no reason a Cliff Branch, a Tom Flores, and our broadcast partner here, Jim Plunkett, and Ray Guy should be in the Hall of Fame. You guys deserve it. Win 2 Super Bowls. It's ridiculous you're not in it.
All right, Doman underneath. And it is complete. And kept for no gain on the play. Aaron Walker out of Florida. Charlton coming up to make the tackle. Derek Hamilton, Arnaz Battle, the receivers. And all kinds of movement. And third. All right, so Doman on a 2nd and long. And he works from his own 14-yard line. And they keep it on the ground to Robertson. And Robertson is hit for a gain of maybe a yard, if that. I don't even know if he got back to the line of scrimmage.
You know what? Here you are. You hand the ball off. You're obviously not trying to throw it down the field. And then you call timeout. What is that about?
Yeah, because
if you want to go in, go in.
Absolutely.
Right?
And let's see. Now the Raiders rush 3. And it's a delay, and the Raiders smother that out, Jamal Robertson. And let's see if Oakland calls a timeout here. Yes, they do, with 20 seconds left.
Well, now you go. How's that for a commercial?
Yeah, he's going to be standing back at his 4. And Curry should be able to field this. Curry backed up, good punt all the way to the 29. Curry will change. He has some blockers. Curry. The wall is set up. And he's all the way down to the 28-yard line.
The clock will stop.
And that's why you use your timeouts the way the Raiders did to set up, and now they have a chance for a field goal to end the half.
And the 49ers kind of shot themselves in the foot by calling their own timeout with only 28 seconds to go.
And you know what? This is not a planned run back. It was supposed to go to the left of the screen, but Curry does a great job of coming back against the grain. And you know what? Look at all the black shirts getting out in front of him and picking up blocks on the run. Excellent job by Curry of making a disaster to a potential big play.
All right, so Janikowski will try to end the half from 46 yards out and give Oakland a 13-6 lead. They made one earlier from 26. Lecter to hold, and the kick is perfect. And so that will conclude the half. Ronald Curry sets it up for Sebastian Janikowski. And we have played one half of football here from San Francisco. The Raiders lead 13-6 here on your Oakland Raiders television network. Enthusiasm is back. You know, last year was tough for everybody. You look at the new coaching staff. You look at a lot of these new players. There's Jerry Rice. The guy's in his 20th year. He's having a great time. Everything looking good for the Raiders. And it's Robertson at his own 5. And he's to the 24-yard line. And that's where San Francisco will take over 1st and 10. And again, Brandon Doman will lead the 49ers back onto the football field.
Bear defense. It's a multiple 3-4 scheme by Rob Ryan.
Terry Jackson, the ball carrier. Jackson to the outside. Good pursuit by the Raider defense. And a short pickup on the play on 1st and 10.
You know, Grant, we're talking about the 3-4s. We take a look at 54, Sam Williams, coming off the injured list last year. This is really his rookie year. But the Raiders have been to the Super Bowl 5 times and won 3. And the 3 times they've won, they've been in the 34 defense. So maybe this will be the charm that gets them to the next level in terms of Super Bowl the next time they get there.
Gain of 4 on that play, and it's 2nd and 6 for San Francisco as they work out of the I formation. Doman, little play action, and it is complete to the fullback Stanley, and he's got a 1st down, and he's to the 39-yard line.
And that's one of the hardest passes to stop. Play action with the fullback coming right at the linebacker. He doesn't know what to do. He freezes. He comes up trying to make a tackle. Fullback goes right behind him. Easy pass.
And Stuart Schweigert on the play, and here's another we talk about. And boy, what a career he had at Purdue, and high hopes for him, Artie.
Yeah, rookie out of Purdue, 6'1", 210, taken in the 3rd round this year. You know, he's big enough But, you know, some people look at him and say, well, I thought he was bigger. But I tell you, this guy is a hitter. And again, like all the rookies the Raiders have brought in, he's having a very good camp.
Yeah, he started 45 of 49 games at Purdue. And Dolman, good protection, and the pass picked off. Good coverage right there. Penalty marker down. And to the 25-yard line. And Gibson, and he will go all the way for the touchdown. But there is a penalty marker down. Actually, it was not Gibson. It was Clarence Love, and Clarence Love, Artie, with a nice run back, but we'll have to hold everything as there was a marker down at the 45-yard line.
And it's going to be pass interference. And again, it might have been inadvertent, but it was pass interference. The ball was in the air.
Defensive pass interference, number 38. Spot foul, automatic first down.
You see the contact right there, and Love comes back, and the official was taking the rag out of his back before the ball even came down. But you know what? At least he came back and he made the play. And this game is about making plays. And Rob Ryan wants these defensive players to make plays. We'll clean up the penalties as time goes on.
So it will stay San Francisco football, as you said, the pass interference penalty. That moves the football to the 45-yard line. Third quarter action with Oakland on top, 13-6. And North Turner wanting an explanation on that Raiders sideline. And now he calls a timeout.
Clarence Love did a great job in the Raiders Super Bowl of 2 years ago, filling in for the injured Philip Buchanan. North says, hey, wait, you taking the penalty from the spot? What's going on? North Turner, a very smart football coach. You're not going to hear him scream and holler on the field. But I'll tell you what, North Turner is a smart guy, and he's excellent with the offense. You know, you take a look at this football team, I think there's 4 keys to this year's season. One, healthy.
It's challenging the ruling on the field. They feel that the ball was tipped at the line of scrimmage.
Last year was
Therefore, if the ball is tipped, there can be no defensive pass interference. We'll review.
Look at a 1st and 10 for San Francisco. Terry Jackson is in at running back. And it is Jackson. And what a nice job up front as Donnie Green from his linebacker position was all over the ball carrier Jackson.
Donnie Green, playing third-year guy from Virginia, 6'2", 240 pounds. Does a nice job of stepping up, as does his inside linebacker mate, Tim Johnson, number 51. Young players, young aggressive players for the Oakland Raiders. We take a look at Green, a Virginia Cavalier, good-looking young player.
Hill comes into the game as an extra wide receiver. Jackson alone, running back. Dolman, pressure on, and hit as he throws, but he does get it away complete to Battle, and Battle forward to the first down to the 31-yard line.
But that was good play by Dolman that time. He got away from trouble, found his open receiver. BYU, and not a lot of experience there either.
Play action, and Dolman looking to the corner. And it's incomplete, and there is a penalty marker down. They're going to get Asamoah for the bump running down the field, and it's going to be a first down and goal for San Francisco.
Yeah, but sometimes that's got to go both ways. They're both fighting for position, trying to find the football, and, you know, it could go either way on those kinds of calls.
Defensive pass interference, 21. Spot foul, first and goal.
And, you know, we talked about points of emphasis, and number 1 was pass interference and chucking downfield. The officials are going to call it a great deal during preseason. And both the Niners and the Raiders, guys, had officials in training camp. You're going to see to the left of your screen at the top, the ball being lofted, and number 21, oh boy, that's a close call. I'm not sure that that was PI.
All right, Dolman working on a first and goal. The pitch to Jackson. Gets a block, and he's in for the touchdown. And San Francisco regains the lead. So we're an extra point away from a 13-13 game, just underway here in the third quarter. Wind is picked up here in the second half. Obviously not a factor on an extra point. And Ilanimi with the point after to tie the game at 13. So we'll be back to be the Raiders football when we return on the Oakland Raiders television network. And a very speedy Carlos Francis.
Well, this guy is an exciting football player, number 10, Carlos Francis, the fastest player at the NFL Combine a year ago. Raiders took him in the 4th round at wide receiver.
A very short kick. That's a free ball. And nothing to it. Francis brought down as soon as he touched it at the 20. So we'll look at the Raiders offense when we come back. Third quarter with the game tied at 13 on the Raiders television network.
I'm standing here with Frank Middleton, offensive guard of your Oakland Raiders. And Frank, from a veteran's perspective, can you tell me what you see or what you like in these young rookie linemen that we have?
Oh, they're very aggressive, man. They love playing the game, and they remind me of a young Wiz, man. They get out to people, and they just have fun with it.
And the Raiders football, Marcus Tuiasosopo is in at quarterback. And a handoff, and that's going to be close to a first down as Justin Fargas, the second-year player out of Southern Cal, on the carry.
Right now, Grant, already got Marcus Tuiasosopo in the ball game. He had a little bad luck last year when Rich Gannon went down with an injury. He had his first start against Detroit, and unfortunately, it got injured himself and was out for the rest of the year.
So a first down. So Tuiasosopo with the game tied at 13 here in the third quarter. Good protection. Sideline caught. And no signal yet. They say it's a catch inbounds. Penalty marker down at the 45-yard line. That ball is marked out of bounds at the 37. A great catch by Alvis Whitted, who's having himself a very nice ball game.
And that was a great throw and a great catch. You know, Marcus is not a rookie, and he's got some experience behind him, but perfectly thrown.
Holding on the defense. That penalty is declined. First down.
There's one. And it looks from that angle that he did indeed get that second foot in. It was right on the 49er sideline. And there's the enthusiasm of Marcus Tuiasosopo. You said, what a tough break for him a year ago. As you pointed out, waits and gets his first start and then gets hurt against that game against the Lions. And
so here's an explosive guy in the backfield that can do a lot of damage to you.
And he played 10 games, and then he hurt his knee and was inactive the rest of the year. And now the reverse, the end around of Francis, trying to utilize the speed, and nothing happening there. Knocked that about for a loss on the play.
Raider fans should get used to reverses this year because Norv Turner loves wide receiver reverses. He did it Dallas, he did it Miami, he did it the Redskins as a head football coach. And Norv is a smart guy. He wants to use the skills, like you said, Grant, of a speedy wide receiver like a Carlos Francis.
You know, you talk about speed. I mean, this guy at Texas Tech ran the 100-meter, the 200-meter, the 4x100-meter relay team as the sprinter. I mean, yeah, this guy, if he gets in the open field, see you later. So a second down and long. Tuiasosopo, good protection. They set up the screen underneath. And Hetherington stopped at the line of scrimmage.
Now, here's a guy, Hetherington, number 44, that had only 2 catches a year ago. He's walking around Napa with the biggest smile on his face because now he's part of the passing offense.
You know, but that was a screen set it up for Hetherington, and unfortunately the screen didn't get out there. The players get out there and block for him, weren't able to get out.
You know, this guy, look at him. He doesn't look like a golfer, does he? Big arms, big guy.
No.
He's the best golfer on the Oakland Raiders. Was a championship golfer at high school out of Connecticut.
All right, third down and 14 for Oakland. 5 minutes into this third quarter. And a bobbling catch, incomplete, they say. Johnny Moran out of Syracuse, the 5th-round pick. And we'll look at the Raiders, Shane Leckler.
Johnny Moran, like you said, Grant, a 5th-round pick out of Syracuse, was in an option offense most of his career back at Syracuse. He's coming along, though, under the tutelage of a Jerry Rice and a Fred Biletnikoff at honing and fine-tuning his wide receiver skills.
Shane Leckler, good alert play by the punter there, knowing exactly who's on the field. And Arnaz Battle will call a fair catch at the 22-yard line. San Francisco football when we return here in the third. We're tied at 13. The Oakland second foot was out of bounds. That negated a nice pass play.
What goes through Jerry Rice's mind when he comes here in a different uniform after spending 16 years here as a San Francisco 49er? A lot of fond memories as he's building his memory bank with the Oakland Raiders.
Hill is into the game as a receiver with Hamilton. Dolman stays in at quarterback. Third quarter action. Dolman with the pump fake, trying to buy a little extra time. And underneath, the pass is complete. And making the grab is second-year player out of Washington. Penalty marker is down at the 37-yard line, and it's going to be ineligible man downfield for San Francisco.
Ineligible downfield on the offensive team, number 60. That's a 5-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
It's bigger than any individual. The Oakland Raiders do not look back. They look to the future. And I think you're going to see an outstanding product return to the field this year in the silver and black.
Oh, look at that defensive pursuit. They were all there. Stop for the Raiders. Tommy Kelly. Asamoah was in there as well. And that's going to be a loss on the play.
This is great defense here. Look at all the black shirts get to the football. This is called swarming defense when you've got about 5 guys surrounding the ball carrier. Now, Rob Ryan is probably going to be unhappy about some things that happened defensively in this game, but he's going to be happy when he sees plays like that, when a bunch of guys led by number 51, Tim Johnson, get to the football.
Yeah, Baja B. Amelia was in there as well. Dolman, second and long. And incomplete. And you hear the reaction from the crowd. Gabe Crescent maybe heard some footsteps. All right, let's check in with George Atkinson.
I have future Hall of Famer with me here, Jerry Rice, who played 16 seasons right here at 3Com Park. And Jerry, the guys upstairs want to know, what fond memories do you have when you step back on this field in the Raiders uniform?
Well, just just coming here, entertaining the crowd. Those unbelievable comebacks, and just some of the best players to ever play the game. And, a lot of games that we played here, we knew that we basically had the game won before we took the field, just by, warm-ups and stuff like that, and the players that we had on the field.
Talk a little bit about Norv Turner's offense. It seems to be one to fit your style. Up there, they stretch the field, lateral game.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. Jerry Porter and I, we were talking about that on the football field out there. And it's exciting now. We don't have to think that much. We just go out there and let our naturality take over. And I think Norv Turner, he's doing a fantastic job. He's more of a player coach. And, if you make a play out there, he's going to, once you come to the sidelines over there, he's going to grab you and say, hey, look, make the next one. And sometimes you need a coach that, going to pick you up like that.
Again, thanks for your time, and good luck with this season. Guys, back to you.
All right, George. Ronald Curry running under the Andy Lee punt, a short one, and he fair catches it at the 39-yard line. 7 minutes and 38 seconds left. Third, and Oakland, San Francisco, tied at 13 on the Oakland Raiders television network. Impressive, and now Troy Hambrick, who comes over from the Dallas Cowboys, where last year he started every game, had just under 1,000 yards rushing. And here he is. And Hambrick muscles forward for a couple.
It's amazing how these players change teams so often. Here he was, almost 1,000-yard rusher, carried the ball 275 times, and yet he became a free agent, moves to another team, and has a chance to start all over again.
But you know what? And sometimes, and you know this, Jim, better than I do, change is good.
Sometimes.
And the Raiders have always had the welcome mat out for free agent type players, but change is good for all of us sometimes.
All right, a second down. Marcus Tuiasosopo still at quarterback. And here is Hambrick on the give, and Hambrick's across the 45 to the 47-yard line. Short of the first down by 2, and it's going to be a third down for here in the third quarter.
I played at a time when there was no free agency. There was no movement from team to team unless you got released by a club, and you really had no leverage to move from one ball club to another as you do today.
Courtney Anderson is in. Ronald Curry is in. On a third and short, Teo Johnson on the bottom of the screen, a yard off the line of scrimmage. And here's play action. Tuiasosopo. And it's complete. First down, Teo Johnson. And the second-year tight end out of Stanford is to the 37-yard line. Nice play action. Froze the linebackers just enough and allowed Teo Johnson to get open. And he has his first reception of the game.
And it was nice about that play. You're going to see here the play fake inside. But Courtney Anderson stays in and blocks the other tight end as Teo Johnson runs across the field. Big man, 6'6", 260 pounds, out of Stanford. Norv Turner will utilize his ability in offense.
Teo Johnson played in every game a season ago. Tuiasosopo again. Look at that protection. To the end Touchdown Raiders. Carlos Francis, the rookie out of Texas Tech. And what a great job by Tui to buy the time.
You know, that's one of the things they saw from
Dale Johnson played in every game a season ago. Tuiasa Sopo again. Look at that protection. To the end zone, Francis, touchdown Raiders. Carlos Francis, the rookie out of Texas Tech. And what a great job by Tui to buy the time.
You know, that's one of the things they saw from Marcus Tuiasa Sopo, who was at the University of Washington. He could run with the ball, he could throw the ball, he could throw on the run, and that was a perfect example of him biding his time. He had great protection. He couldn't find anybody open down the field. He moved out of the pocket and found a speedy Francis coming across the field, getting open, hit him in the end zone for 6 points.
But you know what happens right here, right in here? 8 guys staying in block. It's a 3-man pattern hold. And like you said, Jim, he buys some time by getting out. And at the bottom of your screen, Carlos Francis comes across. But it was a maximum protection call that enabled him to begin the scrambling and to take potential negative into a positive.
And Janikowski adds on, and it's 20-13 with 5:31 left here in the third quarter.
You know, one of the things you don't see very often today is maximum protection. You know, usually you send out 5 people, somebody was going to get open, you dump it off, or you throw it down the field. Maximum protection is very rare nowadays.
And you know what, though? The Raiders up at training camp are using it more and more. And I think the mentality is we've got good quarterbacks, we've got good fast receivers. Somebody will get open. The quarterback will get him the ball as long as he's getting knocked down.
Well, usually when you do something like that, you know, you have longer to throw the ball. You're going to stretch the field more. You're going to widen the field more. There's going to be more gaps down the field to find somebody open.
Absolutely, absolutely. That was a good example of it. As you see Marcus Tuiasa Sopo, who has come out, quite frankly, in this game and thrown the ball very, very sharp.
Well, 20-13, and Tui 3 of 4 for 52 yards. Why don't we check it with Steve Wisniewski? And Steve, give us your thoughts on those rookie offensive linemen.
Thank you, Vic. Both graded out very well, in my opinion. Not only are they great athletes, work ethic is something that the coaches rave about. They're the last one out of the weight room, the first one in the meeting rooms. They both did a fantastic job, especially Jake Grove. He got the communication to the other offensive linemen. There was no breakdowns and blitz pickup. I was very impressed by what I saw from those young men. Back to you.
All right, Steve, appreciate it. And, well, you know, you look at the future and you talk about the offensive line, arguably the most important group on the football field. And here he is, you got Jake Grove, and everybody's talking, obviously, about Robert Gallery. But you look at the future of these two guys, and it might not even be the right word. It might be now. And, boy, what a boost that is for the Oakland Raiders. So the Raiders with the lead off that touchdown and the run back to the 30-yard line. And Jamal Robertson out of Ohio Northern gives San Francisco pretty good field position.
How'd you like to be Jake Grove? Here you are, you come out of Virginia Tech, and you get with the Raiders, yada, yada, yada. Adam True's the starting center, but True gets hurt. So you have to go every day in practice against Ted Washington for about 4 or 5 straight days in training. And I'm kind of kidding about it, but the guy has done an excellent job of maturing very quickly from rookie who didn't know what was going on to pretty good player playing against obviously quality people like Sapp in Washington every day in practice.
All right, Dolman stays in a quarterback and off the play action and dumps it off. It is complete. A short pickup to Matt Stanley. Matt Stanley, a first-year player from UCLA.
Pass is ruled incomplete. The ball's on the ground. Second down.
Trapped it. And then again, you know, we talk about Gallery and Grove, but, you know, this, when you look back 3 or 4 years from now, is going to be probably one of the better drafts from the Oakland Raiders.
Well, undoubtedly. Gallery, I think, is a can't-miss kind of guy. Jake Grove, Stuart Twiggett from Purdue, they're very high on. Carlos Francis, as we mentioned before, fastest guy in the combine. Johnny Moran's got a lot of potential. Didn't get a lot of receptions at Syracuse, but, you know, they've got time. They've got the patience to work with him and make him a better receiver.
Robert Gallery looking on as the Raiders lead 20-13. And again, they're running this time Hicks, the ball carrier out of North Carolina A&T in his first year. Flag down on the field.
You know what I like about this Raider football team, both offensively and defensively, the offensive line's got a great deal of depth, as does the defensive line, linebackers.
Holding, offense, number 69. 10-yard penalty, repeat second down.
You know, you almost know that what happened last year with all the injuries isn't going to happen again, but you never can be sure. So it's good to have that depth at a lot of those positions, so that in case they do injury, somebody can step in and fill in.
Especially, you talk about Napoleon Harris. He gets hurt in practice. You've got a veteran like Dwayne Rudd ready to go. I mean, you talk about depth. There's a great example.
And Mo Collins is hurt. You got Brad Badger
Yep.
there playing the guard position, and Chris Cooper's down with a hamstring. You got plenty of young defensive linemen, no question. And you look about last year, 15 guys on the injured reserve at the end of the year. Just a phenomenal amount of people.
It's hard to win that way.
Doman backed up, throws into a crowd, complete. That was a nice throw by Doman. And boy, look at the coverage. We've been calling out the name Tim Johnson a lot out of Youngstown State. He's all over this football field tonight.
6 foot, 245 pounds, but a very instinctive football player. He's a guy, you look at him on the field sometimes, you say, maybe he's not big or fast enough, but once the ball is snapped in the game, he's all over the place. I think he's got great range, and he's a very, very good special teams player.
Walker on the catch there. 3rd down. 10 yards to go for San Francisco. 4 minutes left. Hill Herzing in along with Hamilton. Just a 3-man rush, but they still get to Doman. Oh, what a great job. Great job, and it was Akbar Baja-Biamili out of San Diego State. And he beat everybody to the quarterback, Doman, and it's going to be a San Francisco 4th down.
Looked a lot like his brother, putting pressure on the quarterback, getting to the quarterback. It was only a 3-man rush, I believe. And they came hard. They beat 5 offensive linemen to get to the quarterback, and was able to get to him. Great pressure by number 94.
Artie, he beat a double team.
He did beat a double team, and he came inside, and he, like the Lawrence Grant, is making the adjustment from defensive end to outside linebacker.
Short kick. Francis tells everybody to get away, and it is a poor kick. It bounces out of the field at about the 50-yard line. So Oakland football with 3:46 left. We're in the 3rd quarter, and Oakland with a 20-0 lead here on the Oakland Raiders television network.
Guy Warren Sapp. Warren, you look at this defense, the 3-4. It suits you, I know, huh?
Yeah, Rob Ryan's really got it fitting like a glove on me. I'm playing a little end, a little tackle, doing what I used to do in Tampa, being disruptive, and I got to do my thing.
You're talking about being disrupted. This defense should be one. It should be a tough defense, not only to run against, but to throw against.
Yeah, we want to put up some max pressure and max coverage on you, and we're going to go out and see if we can just eliminate a lot of things that you can do offensively and get it done.
What can we expect from Warren Sapp this year?
A whole lot of hell.
You heard it right here first, guys. A whole lot of help from Warren Sapp. Back to you guys.
All right, and we saw Tuiasa Sopo to Teo Johnson. A late flag comes down at the 13-yard line, but boy, Tui's come in and played very, very well.
Yes, he has. If you notice, more of these passes are down the field a little bit more than they have been in the past.
And Teo Johnson's having a big night so far.
Yeah, he is.
Whether this is called back or not, I mean, he's breaking out into the open.
Like conduct on the offensive team for taunting after the play was over. It's a 15-yard penalty from the dead ball spot. It'll still be a 1st down.
Well, obviously, a point of emphasis in the National Football League this year. We saw it in the first half with Kevin Barlow. We see it now with Teo Johnson, and the message is going to be delivered early this season. Guys, no more.
It got out of hand last year. I mean, with cell phones and Sharpies and snowballs and signs, I mean, it got out of hand. There's no question the National Football League and officials are on a mission to clean that part of the game up.
Now, I didn't see what Teo Johnson did, but the official obviously did, and that's a 15-yard penalty. Now, it is a 1st down because it's a dead ball foul.
These guys are going to get the message, Grant, when they start being ejected from regular season games for taunting.
All right, Francis, top of the screen. Morant split right. And underneath, Hetherington. And a shoestring tackle brings him down right at the line of scrimmage.
Grant, if I may, I'd like to go back to Warren Sapp. I mean, this guy is a football player. He's been nothing but positive in training camp. He's a very intelligent football player. And for anybody around the country that thinks this guy is washed up, they are wrong, because he practices as hard as he did when he was a young man of 23 or 24. I really like what I've seen of Warren Sapp so far this year.
Ball at the 28. Troy Hambrick. Hambrick trying to bust it outside, and Hambrick dives forward. He's 19, and a late flag comes flying in. Troy Hambrick, the ball spotted right at the 19, but again, that penalty marker down, and it's against Oakland.
Holding, offense, number 10. 10 yards from the end of the run. Repeat second down.
Carlos France was trying to get Hambrick around the corner and was holding.
You know, a young mistake by a guy who's trying to make this football team, but knowing he'll probably be here when the season starts. So you got to practice habit so you don't make those same mistakes once you get to a regular season football game.
So the penalty backs the Raiders up to the 30. It's second down and 12. Final minutes, third quarter. Oakland on top, 20-13. Tuiasosopo. Another penalty marker as he slides to the 23. So we're getting a lot of flags here in the final few minutes of the third quarter.
And needless to say, happens, it slows the tempo of the game down. And I know Norv, talking to him at practice.
Holding, offense, number 68. 10-yard penalty, repeat second down.
Wanted to keep things simple for this game because he wanted the guys to be able to play. But when there's a penalty on there.
The twist. He did a great job of sliding and picking up the other guy.
All right, now Tuiasosopo operating from his 40. Hambrick. And Hambrick pushes forward. And Troy Hambrick over the 35 down to the 33-yard line with 1:45 left.
Corey Halsey, number 71 that time, pulled from his right guard position up into the hole, clearing the way for that man, Troy Hambrick. You take a look at Halsey, big square guy, came to the Raiders a year ago as a free agent out of Clemson, 325 pounds, can play any position for the Raiders in the offensive line.
Quentin McCord comes in with Johnny Morant. There wide left, you see Francis, number 10, in motion. Niners showing blitz. Here they come. And it's incomplete. And it went off the back of one of the offensive linemen. All bouncing off of one of the linemen. And now we got some extracurricular activity. Penalty markers come flying.
You know, and that particular screen was just...
That's way too much. Obviously, preseason. Norv Turner happy with the aggressiveness. You talk about, no question about it.
Well, he'll get it cleaned up.
No question.
Something to work on.
Janikowski, and that misses. And the 49ers will get the ball at the spot. So with 1:03 left, San Francisco will take over, trailing 20-13. You know, Janikowski last year only missed 3, and those were from 55, 52, and 47 yards respectively. That one off the mark to the left. Well, we want to tell you about the Oakland Raiders, the team of the decades. It's a Silver and Black Productions, and it's an hour show.
Those programs just talk about the great tradition of this franchise and the now that Norv Turner's got and his torch to carry for the future of the Raiders.
Cody Pickett in a quarterback. Speaking of quarterbacks, a pretty good one standing next to George Atkinson.
A pretty good one indeed, guys. This is the quarterback for the Oakland Raiders, Rich Gannon, MVP a couple years ago. Rich, talk about this offense, and does it suit your style?
Oh, it does. I'm excited. You know, we're moving the ball around quite a bit in this first half, and Norm's going to be aggressive. He takes some shots, and I like it. I really like it. I think it fits our football team.
Now, you look at the receivers you got a multitude of receivers to go to. Is there any favorite you decided on so far in camp?
Well, we got some good ones. We got a lot of speed. I think these young guys have really come on and really going to help us. They're going to step up and make big plays early, and I think that you saw a little bit of that tonight with Doug Gable making that big catch down the sidelines, and you know, Jerry Porter making big plays, Jerry Rice. We got a good group of receivers right now.
Is this another MVP season for Rich Gannon?
I hope so. I've worked real hard. I feel great. I'm throwing the ball well. I've lost weight. I'm moving around better. I'm looking for a big year.
Thank you, Rich. Guys, this guy definitely is the guy for the Oakland Raiders, the #1 quarterback for the Raiders right now, Rich Gannon.
All right, thanks, George. Third down coming up for San Francisco. Blitz, and Pickett gets it away, and it's broken up beautifully. A flag, though, comes in. As they said, Keon Nash may have had some contact, but we'll wait for the call.
Illegal contact on the defense, number 42. That's a 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
You know,
they're not even thinking. They're just throwing the flag.
but I thought he hit him on his way to the ball. And again, we didn't see the replay on it, but boy, can't be too touchy back there and too picky.
All right, now they give it to Maurice Hicks. Hicks is into Oakland territory. We were talking about Cody Pickett. You know, he's a rookie 7th-round pick. And he comes out of Washington, second team all Pac-10 a year ago. Now, he had a lot of interceptions last year. He had 13 interceptions, 15 touchdowns as we are done with the third quarter, but trying to make this football team. So we've got 15 minutes of football left. The Raiders with the lead on the Oakland Raiders television network.
Also putting the ball down the field a little bit more than they have in the past.
And Artie, we've built up the offensive linemen, and boy, have Gallery looked good along with Grove.
Yes, they have. And, you know, you take away some of these penalties, and this offense is really moving the ball tonight, led by that tenacious young offensive line. But you know what? We talked about the penalties. Hey, it's something the coaches can and they will clean up during the next 3 weeks while at Napa in training camp.
Do you think they're overcalling right now?
I always think officials are overcalling, especially when I see all these defensive and special teams calls. But that's just me.
No, but I mean just to get them used to what the season's going to really be like.
Yes, but you know what? Sometimes it takes away from the coach's ability to evaluate players because the game slows down so much.
All right, so San Francisco a third down. Pickett in traffic, and he will be brought down at the 50-yard line. And there is Baja Biamilia getting to the quarterback, his second sack.
A lot of pressure by number 94, Baja Biamilia. You know, they're all working and fighting for a job, and you know he's no different than anybody else on that defensive line and those linebackers, working hard, trying to impress the coaches, you know, hoping to move their way up the ladder.
Raiders defense really playing well here against San Francisco with a 20-13 lead. And another opportunity for Oakland to get their hands on the football. Carlos is back deep. And he says get away again. The ball will bounce out of bounds at the 12-yard line, and that's where Oakland will have the ball first and 10 here in the fourth quarter with a 20-13 lead. You're watching Oakland Raiders football on the Raiders television network.
When you make them calls.
I understand.
I'll be selling groceries.
The Bud Light Institute Low Carb Summer Games.
Today. I got real tired handing off to Marcus the whole game.
Well, here we go on the Raiders in the fourth quarter. And it's Hambrick. And Hambrick hit after a short gain. Going to be up second down.
I think you'll see Norv Turner and Jim Ray, the offensive coordinator, really try to hammer out the ball here. Not to end the game, but just to establish some of the physicalness that he talked about wanting to do this preseason. They've run the ball fairly well tonight, but I know Norv would love to see a nice 85-yard highlighted by some big-time runs.
All right, second down. 8 to go with just over 13 minutes left here in the ball game. Carlos Francis in motion. Little play action. And they go up top to Teo Johnson. And Johnson is hit across the 15 to the 16-yard line. Teo Johnson very active since coming in here in the second half. You know, you talk about experience in the National Football League. You look at Norv Turner, Artie, and nice pedigree right there. He's done a marvelous job with those balls.
You know, and I was with Norv at USC and at the Rams, you know, during that period that he was there, left us to go to the Cowboys, won two Super Bowls with Jimmy Johnson, became the head coach of the Redskins, had 3 years at the Chargers and the Dolphins, and now is getting another shot as a head football coach in this league. I think this guy will do a great job for the Raiders. He's got a very even personality and a great offensive mind.
An injured Niner is down. We'll be back. Timeout on the field. Their own 16-yard line. Marcus Tuiasosopo in a spread formation. 3 receiver set. And underneath and broken up and incomplete. That ball intended for Quentin McCord. Hanson on the coverage of San Francisco, and Oakland will be forced to punt.
Good job by the Niners that time in terms of coverage. Didn't really have a place to throw the ball. You see North Turner, and hey, you got to break to the outside. Teo, don't come inside. Break to the outside on that coverage.
Arnaz Battle is back deep as you look at Shane Leckler. And the Raiders with a touchdown lead. Nice high spiraling kick. And it's Battle at the 38. And again, nice job. Oh, he breaks the tackle. He got loose. He's got the punter to beat Leckler. Battle. He may go. touchdown, San Francisco, and that's just a couple of missed tackles there. They had Arnaz Battle hemmed in, guys, but somehow he was able to shake loose.
They had him early. They should have put him down. You know, it was a mistake on their part. You know, make sure the guy goes to the ground before you let him go.
61-yard punt return for Arnaz Battle, and an extra point away from tying this game.
Now you're going to see a good job of running here, but you're going to see a poor job by the Raiders of missing tackles in the open. 4 missed tackles right there that the Raiders could have had. And Joe Avezzano, you'll be able to hear him screaming through the halls of the Marriott up in Napa when they watch this tape on Sunday night. It's one thing to get a return against you, but you don't want to miss the tackles in the open field. And believe me, I've done it. The job of a special teams coach is a lonely one because missed tackles like that can ruin your entire weekend.
And again, San Francisco trying to tie the game, and they do. As Illinemi makes it 20-20 as you look at Joe Avezzano, and obviously not happy with the tackling there. Well, the Raiders home next week, the Dallas Cowboys in.
What I've seen at training camp so far and tonight against the 49ers.
Call that number, bottom of the screen, or go to Ticketmaster.com for more information on your Raiders tickets. So we have a new ball game tied at 20. And we talk about speed. How about this? Carlos Francis. Francis will turn on the afterburners. See you later. Touchdown, Raiders. How about Carlos Francis? You talk about a young man fly. You saw it right there.
And there you go. You know, talk about turn of events. You know, a draft choice by the Raiders in 2004 shows you what he can do with the football once he has some field to run in, and he runs away from everybody. They had the angle on him going down the sidelines. They weren't able to cut him off. Great run back by Carlos Francis.
And you know, Joe Avezzano was the maddest guy in Candlestick Park 2 minutes ago. And even though he's not smiling right now, he is the happiest guy on right now.
At the end of the season.
Lemony will kick off. T2C, McCord, and Francis. And it'll be Francis taking the ball at the 14-yard line. He's got a lane. Look out. Francis at the 40, 45, 50. The kicker didn't get him. It's Francis at the 30, the 20, the 10. Touchdown, Carlos Francis. 87 yards, and just like that, the Raiders have answered back. Lemony was the last man who had a chance. He got his hands on him. At that point, Francis said, no way.
Well, very nice blocking on the left side of the return team for Francis.
Yeah, it looked like David Terrell got a nice block in there.
Now watch it. This is a close-up ground level, and he's accelerating at full speed. As soon as he touches the football, he senses and feels that hole missed there by the kicker. It's off to the races.
There are no highlights in this football game.
When he has a guy that can run with speed like that. I mean, once Francis got a step, it was all.
Yeah, there was nobody's going to catch him. And again, we talked about him, and he caught over 200 passes at Texas Tech. Small, powerful, fast.
And Oakland, just like that, back on top here on the Oakland Raiders television network.
Camp on NFL Network.
Carlos Francis with some well-deserved oxygen.
All right, here it is now. Here as he catches the ball. But what makes this play go are these guys right here in the wedge. Watch number 32, Zach Crockett. Watch number 96, Grant Irons. Clear the way, and look at this seam up in here. That is great coaching and a wonderful job by the wedge, and another great block right there by David Terrell. Excellent blocking that created a wonderful seam for number 10. Untouched for a touchdown.
Boy, I'll tell you, we talk about Carlos Francis. What a debut he's having here in San Francisco. He's got 2 touchdowns, one on a reception, the other on a kickoff return, and Oakland on top. And a big hit on special teams to the 25-yard line. And I'll tell you, when you get a run back, boy, does that fire up your football team.
You know, we take one more look at it, this time from a field angle. As you can see, the blocking is tremendous, but look how fast he is. He hits up in there, he accelerates, and he literally is untouched as he heads to the end zone. Wow.
Wow is right. 87 yards for the touchdown, and Oakland has the 27-20 lead. Cody Pickett at quarterback. Play action. And it is caught. And a big play is run out of bounds is Gabe Preseason out of UCLA at his first year.
But great play action by Cody Pickett. Let the receiver go across the field, got lost as he came across. Fine throw, big play by the Niners.
A few fireworks here in the last 4 minutes.
Yeah, you know, things slowed down in the last few minutes of the third, but boy, is it picked up here in the fourth.
Your spotter Adam was falling asleep, but he's awake now.
But here you go. You know, Cody Pickett waited for the guy to come across the field. Great play, great throw, and a great run after the catch.
So San Francisco trying to march right back down the field, down 27-20, and they keep it on the ground at Jason Wright. He's a rookie free agent out of Northwestern.
And one thing about the preseason is we take a look at Keon Nash, who's competing for the free safety job, and he's behind Ray Buchanan. Every play counts for these guys that are on the field right now.
Boy, listen to this crowd. Are they revved up? Jason Wright at running back. Hill, the receivers. Cody Pickett. And it is complete. Hill makes the catch.
Coverage that time by number 18, James Bethea, a rookie free agent out of the University of California. He saw Cody Pickett when he played against the University of Washington. This guy's been impressive in mini camps. He's done a solid job up in Napa. Very good kick coverage guy from the Cal Bears.
Jerry trying to rally the defense. And breaking a couple of tackles was Jason Wright. And Wright goes close to the 20-yard line. Good pickup there. On first down, they're going to give him 5, and it will be 2nd and 5 with under 10 minutes left.
David Terrell came from the Washington Redskins, started 32 games, played in 65 games, came as a free agent, a 5-year man out of El Paso, Texas El Paso. Again, competing for a job on this team, special teams, and as a backup.
Terry Jackson as a running back. Play action. And it is caught. And are they in for a touchdown? Yes. San Francisco with the touchdown. Gabe Preseason, the UCLA product. And we have a high-scoring game developing here in the fourth quarter.
And nobody's sitting back. You know, they're going for the big plays right down the field. Great read by the quarterback. Nice catch. Perfect throw. I mean, you draw it up on the chalkboard, hit the man right down the seam. Linebacker was a little late in getting back covering him on a double zone.
Now the official.
Tough on the left, talking to Norv Turner.
Yep, and we are tied at 27.
And you know what? It looks like neither team's going to go for those long 12, 18-play drives tonight.
So Cole and McCord await the kickoff with the game tied at 27. And it will be taken by Cole. And Cole, a good run back, takes a hard pop, but he gets it to the 35-yard line.
Now, let me just tell you guys something. Being an old special teams coach, I do not like what the 49ers did just there. They squib-kicked it, and what you're doing, you're not allowing some young players an opportunity to be evaluated on kickoff coverage. Larry McDuff, shown in the picture here, the special teams coach of the 49ers. I totally disagree with that strategy. Now, yeah, about it being run back, but what Francis wasn't even in the game.
All right, DeJuan Green is in at running back for Oakland. Marcus Tuiasosopo, the quarterback. And the give is to Green. And Green turns the corner and runs out of bounds, and he gets close to the 40-yard line. A pickup of 5 on the play.
Now, what the Raiders would like to do right now is have that 12, 15-yard, 15-play drive down the field, eat up the clock, not give the Niners a chance to get the ball back and score themselves.
In bounds.
Tell you, a heck of a game here tonight in preseason week number 1. Tied at 27. Hetherington in motion. Here comes the blitz, and the ball is batted down. And Marcus Tuiasosopo will be looking at a 3rd down and 5.
Now, legend has it, guys, ability to correct the mistakes in game 1 to game 2.
Johnny Moran has come in. He lines up bottom of the screen on a 3rd down for Tuiasosopo. He's got some room. A looping pass. Nicely done. Courtney Anderson, and he runs all the way down inside the 15-yard line. And how about Marcus Tuiasosopo again buying time?
Hey, that's the beauty of Marcus Tuiasosopo. A lot like Rich Gannon. Get out of trouble. Get to the outside. Find an open receiver down there. It's way too hard to stick with the receiver as long as Marcus Tuiasosopo football. He gets beat deep. Marcus hits him greatly on the run. A great throw. And that's what you're looking for. Somebody who can bide a little time. Sometimes, in this league, you don't have it because those ends can run.
And Courtney Anderson's not your typical receiver, though. 6'7", 270-pounder out of San Jose that the Oakland Raiders drafted this year. And, he's a guy from Richmond, California.
All right, 1st down and goal for Tuiasosopo. And they stop it before the snap. He got all the way down, guys. Inside that 5-yard line from where we were. Look, he ran down.
False start in the offense, number 78. 5-yard penalty, still 1st down.
I really thought he did a tremendous job. I'm talking about Courtney Anderson to, tightrope that sideline and stay in bounds and pick up an extra 10 yards.
And one of the things he's done is had to improve himself, talking about Anderson now, as a blocker. Okay, as a receiver, because he came from San Jose State. Nobody really had heard about him. The Raiders took him late in the draft, but the guy was a pretty good blocker because he looks like a tackle. And he's worked very hard at his receiving skills.
Tight end with the I formation. Green. And he runs into the heart of the defense, gets maybe to the 7-yard line.
And now would be a perfect time for a play-action pass, though. You don't want to wait till 3rd down.
So it's 2nd and goal.
And one of the things I like about the offense is they're getting those plays in quick.
They're doing a good job of communication. Very good.
Morant and Stone, the receivers. As Tuiasosopo again with a goal situation. They fake the pitch. Tui looking. And he's out of bounds. Out of bounds at the 5-yard line. Maybe got closer to the 3. We'll see where they spot it. Going to say he's at the 3-yard line. So,
and as much as they try to be politically correct or what have you, saying, well, we're here to play our players and see what we can do on the football field. I think deep down in their heart, he really wants to win this football game.
4 receivers. J.R. Redmond, the lone setback. Tuiasosopo. 3rd and goal. Pressure is on. And it's incomplete. Tuiasosopo threw it to the end zone, but it's incomplete.
Pass is incomplete. It hit the ground. 4th down.
It will be 4th down, and the Raiders will look for a field goal.
Once again, it was a good job by Tua to get out of pressure. Guy came clean, had him in his sights, and was able to get away from him.
You guys talked about the winning. Last year, the New England Patriots were 4-0 in the preseason, and so were the Carolina Panthers. Both teams ended up in the Super Bowl. Winning's important every time you take the field.
Sebastian Janik, 21-yard attempt to put Oakland on top. Good. And Oakland has the lead, 30-27. 4th quarter, 6:28 left. And now we'll turn over to the Raiders defense. And already look at the key dates. A lot of fans not aware of the specifics, but here it is. And it starts on August 31st. You got to get down to men.
Right, and then a week later, you've got to be down to your 53-man roster for the start of the season. And then the season starts on September 9th and goes all the way to February this year. The Super Bowl is in Jacksonville on February 6th. So obviously the NFL season is a long season. Those dates are important, but so.
And it is Derek Hamilton. Flag down, and this will come back. San Francisco will have poor field position. Well, we talked about the draft picks of the Oakland Raiders, and Robert Gallery has stardom written all over him. He's with Steve Wisniewski.
Hey, thank you very much. The Raiders have added some bright stars this offseason, but none brighter than this man, Robert Gallery, first-round draft pick out of the University of Iowa. How did it feel tonight for the first time to suit up in the silver and black?
It was great. It was I kind of got caught up coming out of the locker room, you know, standing beside Jerry Rice and Warren Sapp, guys like that. But once I got my first play, you know, it all came back.
You did an outstanding job, I got to say, and what I appreciate about you is your character, your work ethic. You made it known that you were going to come into camp on time. How's it going for you at training camp? Do you understand the system, and what are you looking to gain in the next 3 games?
Yeah, you know, getting in here on time really helped me and, you know, put me in a good situation today. I knew what was going on. A couple things that, you know, it's just seeing a game for the first time, but, you know, I feel comfortable, and as the games goes on, I hope, you know, I can get into that starting spot.
As a fellow former offensive lineman, I appreciate your effort. You're going to have a great career with Oakland Raiders. Welcome, brother. Back to
all right, Steve, appreciate it. Great to see Robert Gallery play so well in his first game. You saw the penalty marker come flying, and San Francisco right now really hurting themselves with the yellow flags. They got the flag on the kickoff return, and then on this first play, they're back down inside their 5-yard line. And let's see if the Raiders can come up with a big turnover and put the pressure. 7. 3 receivers set. Cody Pickett, the quarterback, and the safety. And Jason Wright met by 4 black jerseys. That's defensive front. Shedding their blockers, nothing doing for the ball carrier, Jason Wright. On 2nd down and long. Pickett. And there's penalty marker, and no question, San Francisco will get the first down. Thea with the penalty.
Bethea, again, we talked about him before. The agent out of the University of California at Berkeley. A little bit too much bump there.
Number 18. Spot foul, automatic first down.
They're seeing on the left of your screen. Ball is thrown well up the field, but they get tangled. Anytime you have contact like that after the 5-yard area, or you impede the progress of a receiver down the field, that yellow hanky is going to come out.
That gets San Francisco out of tough territory, and they get some breathing room out to the 27-yard line. 3 receivers for San Francisco. Pump fake by Pickett. And incomplete, and another penalty marker. Another penalty marker comes down, and Bethea getting up slowly.
Well, they're going after Bethea a little bit, and as he limps a little bit off the field.
Number 18. Spot foul, automatic first down.
And he will have to have some assistance.
Just to get off the field.
And out as the officials stop play. 5 minutes, 20 seconds left, and another look at that play.
You know, the ball is thrown up in the air, but he doesn't see the football. And as he comes down, bang, he gets knocked over, and it looks like number 35, David Terrell, lands on his knee, if indeed that is the injury. We hate to guess on injuries because we're never sure up here, but that's what looks like happens. Well, one thing, though, Grant and Jim, guys are playing extremely hard on both sides of the ball here, and people out there have got to understand, fans have got to understand, guys are competing for jobs. They're competing, and they're being evaluated on each and everything they do.
You're absolutely right. But at this point in the game, the Raiders have 19 penalties for 200 yards. That's a lot of mistakes to overcome during the course of a ball game.
Artie, what's the schedule now after a preseason game for Norv Turner and the Raiders?
What they'll do, they'll go back to Napa tonight, have a meeting, probably have the morning off tomorrow, have a meeting tomorrow evening, evaluate the films, the tapes, and then start their normal 2-a-day routines. On Monday and Wednesday from 9 to 11, a morning practice, and every afternoon from 4 to 6, an afternoon practice in pads. I think Norv is going to be very consistent in the practice schedule for the remainder of training camp. Raiders break camp on the 25th of August.
Herzing and Fleck, the receivers, on a first down. And on the ground, they give the football to Maurice Hicks. Let's get back down to the sideline and George Atkinson. George?
Guys, I have one of the emerging stars for the Oakland Raiders. player who's coming into his own, had a touchdown tonight. Seemed like you pick up this offense pretty quickly.
I picked it up pretty well. I mean, me and JP, we came in to work on the offense. We knew what we had to do this season. Then Jerry and Tim, we all just came in and knew what we had to do this season.
You know, you talk about Jerry Porter and how, how he's helped you. Just talk about how valuable he has been to you.
He's been real valuable. You know, this whole 2 years I've been here, we've been real valuable. He's been so valuable to us. It was just like, man, he's like a big brother to me.
What can we expect from Gabriel this year?
You know, a lot of exciting plays. Exciting plays.
Okay, guys, we had to kind of turn around for a minute. We know better than turn our back to the sidelines, but we're in good shape.
Yeah,
back to you guys.
You're in good shape, George. You're exactly right, buddy. George is actually hoping that somebody comes near him so he can give him a forearm. By the way, you saw the play, and that ball was recovered by San Francisco P.J. Fleck. So now they're marching the ball down the field as it's going to be put down at the 34-yard line of Oakland with 4 minutes and 15 seconds left.
There was no fumble. He was down.
You know, you see Pickett right here, drop back, throw the ball. Let's see, take a look and see if his knee is down.
That's close.
It's awful close. It's awful close.
All right, a first down, Cody Pickett, the quarterback for San Francisco. Pickett over the middle. It is complete. Penalty marker down. Again, it's Creashen. And Creashen is going to get 9 on the play, just shy of the marker. But again, we have penalty markers on the field. You know, one thing you got to remember with these penalties, it puts them out of field range right now at the 39-yard line. 3 receivers set. The draw play. Room to go. Maurice Hicks. And Hicks is down to the 23-yard line and a 49er first down. And that puts him right in field goal range.
Hicks showed a little wiggle there, so to speak. 5'11", 200 pounds. David Terrell comes up and makes the play. Good job of tackling by number 35 in the open field. Again, I talked about him before. I think the coaching staff looks at him as a guy that has a chance to make the team on special teams.
Herzing, Fleck, the receivers. Hicks bouncing off a tackle, and he almost broke it. Maurice Hicks. Good play on first down. It gives 6, maybe 7 yards.
Art Smith made the tackle that time, a first-year man out of Northeastern, played in the Arena Football League. And George Atkinson, our sideline guy, recommended him to the Oakland Raiders. Oakland Raiders liked him, worked him out, and signed him. How about George?
Second down. 5 yards to go. Flags down. That will be a 5-yard penalty against San Francisco, making the 2nd and 5. Fleck out there with Herzing. Pickett drops. Oh, a big hit. Big hit put on by the Raiders. And David Terrell already been talking a lot about him. He made no mistake about that tackle.
That's called perfect timing coming from a safety position on an underneath route. You know, we all talk about underneath routes and the play action of the West Coast offense, but it punishes. Look at Terrell right here. It just punishes wide receivers. That's as good as it gets.
Plus, you know, and I think, you know, he read that perfectly. They've been hurt by it, the crossing pattern underneath the coverage. He was able to come up there and stiffen.
A 2-minute warning has been issued. Going down to the wire here in San Francisco on the Raiders television network. Big 3rd down conversion. Raiders showing blitz. Here they come. Pickett, here's he throws. Incomplete. It'll be 4th down.
Nice timing on the blitz. The big guy, Grant Irons, gets there. 6'6", 285-pounder out of Notre Dame, 3rd-year man out of Notre Dame. You see him on the right of the screen, twist underneath. His dad, Gerald, played here at the Oakland Raiders from 1970 to 75. Excellent call by Rob Ryan, and obviously big-time pressure by number 96.
All right, so now an attempt, and this will be Bill and Nimmy to tie the game at 30. They're going to spot the ball at the 27, a 37-yard, make it a 38-yard attempt. And it is good, and we are tied at 30, and now we'll get a look at the Raiders' 2-minute offense and see how.
Not creating or not allowing a controversy to create by just telling both men, here's the situation, and Collins came in.
And Cole picks up the squib kick, and he runs it back to the 35. And that's where Oakland will have the football with 1:46 left.
In 1:40.
Obviously, are short passes that turn into big plays ASAP.
So 3 receivers for the Oakland Raiders with the game 30. Pump fake, Tui again, able to get some time. Flag is down. This may be a hold.
It is a hold, Grant, but you know, the officials have just got to keep those things in their pockets a little bit. Let these guys play. In the 2-minute drill.
Well, they are backed up on the hold. First down and 20. 4-man rush for San Francisco. Underneath. That will keep the clock moving. Plunk, when you played, you must have loved to run the 2-minute drill. It had to be as the fun part of playing quarterback in the National Football League. Right here with 1:31 left. He comes up, split backs, 3 receivers. Second down. Man open. Caught nicely down to Johnny Moran, and he's got an Oakland first down inside the 50 to the 47-yard line with 1:20 left.
And the 49ers came on a blitz. It was man-to-man coverage down the field, and he read it perfectly, hit him in the numbers.
And I'm surprised they did because they've been playing zone, forcing Tuiasosopo to hold the ball. Only blitz in these situations when you have to.
First, Tuiasosopo will go to the sideline for Morant. Nice catch, and he's out of bounds. Oh, what a throw by Tuiasosopo. Good job by the rookie from Syracuse to hold on, and that will stop the clock.
Hey, Grant, you don't know how great a throw that was. That was a perfectly thrown ball. That was unbelievable.
You take a look here, Plunk. He just threads the needle. He pumps and throws to a big target.
There's not much room.
There is no room. That's just a wonderful, wonderful pass, and he does it under pressure. He gets knocked to the ground by Cooper as soon as he releases the ball.
I didn't see the flag. Quentin McCord of the screen. 4-man rush. Underneath, they set it up for Zaraway, or rather J.R. Redmond. Beg your pardon. Redmond breaks the tackle. Redmond, and he has the first down out of bounds. J.R. Redmond out of Arizona State in his 5th year. Nice where they are now for a guy like Janikowski, but they would love to get some more yardage here. Tui on a 1st and 10. Pump fake. Looking for Francis, and it's incomplete. Carlos Francis looking for a flag. Does as the cover. Niners looking pass, and now they do give it on the delay.
Nice call, Coach.
Thank you. And J.R. Redmond, and now because you get in field goal range with 40 seconds left, and that's down to the 25
I've always thought you'd be an excellent offensive coordinator. When you come back, and once you come back as an offensive coordinator, that's a good call.
So now you're going to stop either stop the clock or go for the big one in the end zone.
Go for the big one first, then come back and kick it.
Yeah, you got plenty of time. Tuiasosopo.
Don't get sacked.
And he's going to pick up some yardage. Hold on to that ball. To the 21.
In the middle of the field.
17 down to 16, and he'll call the timeout. As well, wait, they're going to set it up. Obviously, he wants to make sure this is going to be the last play of the football game.
Which is the smart thing to do here, because as we've seen tonight, with 2 returns for touchdowns, anything can happen.
Timeout, Oakland. That's their 3rd and final timeout. It'll be a 30-second timeout.
And if you don't believe anything can happen, just ask Jim Fossil, who lost his job. We'll try to win it from 40 yards out. Shane Leckler to hold. And now the 49ers apparently looked over, and now the officials are stopping the. There we go. Janikowski from 40 yards. And the game is over. The Raiders win it on the final play. Sebastian Janikowski from 40 yards. And the Raiders win it 33-30. Oh, North Turner walks off the field happy. What a finish for the Oakland Raiders. We'll come back and wrap it up as the Oakland Raiders beat the San Francisco 49ers 33-30, and you watched it on the Oakland Raiders television network.